Hey there, Pro Church Media community. This is Jason again. In this tutorial, we're going to look at how you can create 360 videos for Facebook using either Facebook's own tools or using After Effects to get a little bit more control. It's going to be a ton of fun. There's some super creative things you can do with it, and so let's get right into it. Before we start, I just want to note that this isn't really a true 360 video. There's not going to be like the motion tracking and stuff that you can get from true 360 videos that you can, intersperse text or other elements at different depths, but it's just kind of a quick way to create a cool effect that's kind of attention grabbing and still let you do some creative things. So I think it's going to be fun nevertheless, but just want to let you know it's not a true 360 video, so there are some limitations. Okay, let's start with Facebook's own tools. If you go to facebook.com/360_media/create, you'll get to the 360 video director tools. And so with these, you can actually create a 360 video from any video, whether it's shot in 360 or not. And so all you have to do is just click the Launch 360 Director Tools, find the piece of footage you want to use. I just have this motion background I created. And it's going to automatically create this kind of 360 video. You can see it's going to have like the nasty seams and stuff like that, but at the same time, it will automatically create this 360 video. And so it can be kind of cool. And so that can be kind of fun. You can preview it how it looks on a phone. You can preview it how it looks in a VR headset. And you can, zoom in, zoom out, all that kind of stuff. And so there's some cool things you can do with this. What's also kind of fun is you can set some guide points, which we'll look at here in just a little bit. But so once you put your video in here, you just hit download and then just save it to wherever you want, then upload it to Facebook, and you're pretty much good to go. Okay, so that's kind of the quick and easy way to do this, but we want maybe a little bit more control. Maybe we want to add some text or something like that. So let's jump into After Effects and see how to make this happen. Okay, so we're here in After Effects, and now let's start just by importing our footage. I'm just going to use that same motion background that I have. This is not a 360 video, it's just a regular 2D piece of footage. And so I'm just going to start just by dragging it into a new composition. And I think this will work pretty well. Since I do kind of want to blend this together, and this one will work pretty well for that, I'm just going to click on it and go up to Effect, and then go to Distort, and then choose Mirror. And since this composition is 1920 wide, I'm just going to change the reflection center to 960, and now it's going to reflect it down the middle. Okay, so now what I want to do is just click on my composition, make sure it's selected, and then go up to Composition and then choose VR and then choose Extract Cube Map. And I want to make sure it's that composition, and then I can use edge blending if I want to. I don't need to for this one. I'm going to do Ultra for the conversion resolution and then just say Extract Cube Map. All right, so now I can close this out, and it opens up this new composition with a whole bunch of different compositions in it, which has the footage just mapped to different sides of this cube. And now if you pull up your camera tool with C, you can actually rotate around and you can see, what we got going on here. And so that's kind of fun. Okay, so I'm going to drop this resolution down just so I get better performance here. Now let's go ahead and add some text. So I'm just going to do Command T to pull up the text tool. And I'm just going to do the beginning of the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And so I'm just going to type in the beginning. And I'm using Titling Gothic, which is a really great font. I'd suggest checking out because it's really cool. It's from Typekit. All right, so now I need to make this a 3D layer. So I'm just going to check the 3D layer button. And it's going to go away because it's kind of interspersed somewhere else in the scene. So what I want to do is pull up another view, 2 views horizontal, so to put them side by side. And now you can see this is a top-down view, I believe. And so, yep. And if this doesn't show up as top, just click on that, go to the active camera tab right here, and then just change it to top. And now this layer right here is where my text is, and so I can just either use these controls to push it back in the frame, or I could just hit P on the keyboard to bring up the position properties and do the same thing. Sometimes I just like to use the numerical values just because they're easier to get a hold of. All right, since there's not going to be really any motion tracking data or anything like that, and the camera's not going to move, it doesn't really matter where I position these in space because it's not going to transfer that data into the 360 video just because of the way this process works. And so really this is more just for scaling purposes, and I can also scale it up and down. I think I'll make it probably pretty small, something like that. And so I think that looks pretty good. Let's go with that. All right, so now I want to position the text, basically one on this plane, one back here, and then one over here. And so I'm going to call this text layer just front. And then I'll just duplicate this, and I'm going to change the name to, let's call it right. All right, so now what I need to do is I'm going to pull up the rotation property with R. And for the Y rotation, I just need to rotate it 90 degrees. And now what I can do is just push it back, in the frame and then move it down this way. And so somewhere just right around there. And if you want to preview what this is going to look like, with your master camera, just pull up the rotation tool. And with the Y rotation, just do 90 degrees. And now you can see it kind of swiveled over there. You can also use the camera tool just to do that manually, but this will do it precisely. And so if you want to just go over 90 degrees, then just click on this layer and let's just change it to was the word. That looks good. We're going to do the same process for all the other planes. So for front, I'll change this to back. And once again, I'm going to just kind of pull this back in the frame. And then I need to rotate it 180 degrees so it's not backwards. So just type in 180 on the Y rotation. And then for the camera, we just need to rotate 180 degrees. And there we have our back text. And so now I can change this to, let's see, in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God. I might make this a little bit smaller or just push it further back. Again, it doesn't really matter just because of how this is going to work. I might scale it down just a bit. All right, then let's once again, let's duplicate the right layer, and we'll call this left. And we'll bring this over here, and then we just need to rotate this, I guess, minus 90 degrees, so it's the opposite way. And with our camera, we can either go minus 90 or just 270, and that should bring us over there. And there's our our left text, and we do, and the word was God. All right, so now we can grab our camera tool and just kind of rotate around. So we'll start with in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. And I think I might push that back just a bit further and maybe scale it down a bit. Okay, pull up the camera tool again, move around. I might make this one just a tad smaller. You don't want it to be too big a lot of times because otherwise it'll just bleed into the other ones, unless that's what you want. I think that one looks pretty good. I might scale it down just a tiny bit. And once again, we'll move back to the beginning. And I think that looks pretty good. And if you want to reset your camera, just come to the orientation, just zero all these out. And the same thing for the Y rotation, and now you should be right back at the beginning shot. Okay, so now we have all our edits done, and you could, of course, animate this text. Let's actually do a quick animation. Once again, I'm going to be using TextEvo, which is a really great tool that you can get from aescripts.com, and it's free. It works really great, and it allows you to do some really quick text animation. So I'm going to just add an in animation, so just do position and opacity. We'll just do something really quick, something like that. And I might do this for all of them. I'll just do it. Yeah, I'll do it for this first one, because by the time it plays, we'll want to start moving to the other ones. As we'll look at a little bit later, there's some ways to set up little guide points with the Facebook Director tools, but I think we'll just stick with this one animation and we'll call it good. Okay, so I think we're ready to go. We can close out this composition window if we want to. Now once you have all your edits made, you'll get back to the VR output composition, which is the one you want to export, and you'll see it doesn't look very good, but that's just because it's trying to interpret it in this equirectangular composition here. With this composition, you'll probably notice that it changed the resolution, and so it's going to be 1920 by 960 just because there has to be a 2:1 ratio. But the great thing is that After Effects does this for you, and so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so now we just want to make sure that this VR output composition is selected, and then go up to Composition, Add to Media Encoder Queue. And it's going to add it to the media encoder queue. I'm going to do H.264 and then probably match source high bitrate. I want to make sure to click on this and then go all the way down on the video tab and make sure video is VR is selected. This will inject the metadata that Facebook will then read as a 360 video. If you don't do this, you can still work with it, but this kind of saves you a step if you want to. So make sure that's selected. You can give it a different name if you want to. I'll call this John 1. And I'm just going to put it on my desktop, hit save, go to OK, and then start rendering this out. And I'll come back once this is done. All right, so once that's finished, we can move back to Facebook. And I'm just going to go to this test group that I have, and I'm just going to add that photo. And so just add the John 1, and I'll just say John 1. And you'll know it's reading it as a 360 video if you see this little icon down here. And then you can just hit post. It's going to do the processing and give you a notification once it's done. And once you get that notification that it's done, you can view it and see if everything looks good. So I'm just going to refresh this, and you can see we have our video right here. And so it's playing, we have that animation, we can move around, everything looks like it's working really well. And so you can see it's pretty easy to make 360 videos, even with text in them. And so you can do some really creative things with this while also having the video aspect of it. So it's pretty cool, pretty easy to do. Let's take a look at one more way you can kind of use the director tools inside of Facebook. So I'm going to go back to the director tools page and do the Launch 360 director tools. I'm going to import that John 1 video that I created. And so what's kind of cool about this is you can actually set guide points. And so this will do, usually it's just self-directed. So if you move it around, it'll just kind of do whatever you want, but you can actually create timed guides. And so let's move to like 7 seconds or so. I'm just going to say set guide point once I move over here. And so I'll set the guide point, and then let's move forward to about 15 seconds, and we'll move over here. We can set that guide point, and then we can move over here, set that guide point. And now if we go back to the beginning and play this, it's going to switch to those views when it reaches those guide points. And so you can see how it's automatically doing that. So that's a way you can create kind of an auto guide sort of system for your 360 video. If you have certain text or something that you want to be seen at a certain time, it's a pretty cool way that you can do that within the Facebook directory tools here. And so be sure to check that out because it's kind of fun. Okay, so that's basically it. Once you have all your guide points set and you are ready to go with it, you can just hit download, choose where you want to download it, and then just re-upload it to Facebook as a 360 video, and you're good to go. And so that's basically it. As you can see, it's pretty easy to create these 360 videos, and you can do some really fun stuff with them. So yeah, let your creativity go wild, figure out some really cool ways to use 360 video, and I will talk to you later. If you like this tutorial, be sure to visit ProChurchMediaUniversity.com, where you can find full courses, workshops, training, and more. ProChurchMediaUniversity.com.